Welcome to Mind Your Biz, a new podcast from the Orange County Chamber of Commerce, a fresh, casual space for real conversations about business, life, and community. Hosted by me, Heather Bell, President and CEO. Each episode features one-on-one chats with local business leaders and corporate partners. We go beyond the company's headlines to explore the people behind the success, their passions, insights, and stories. Tune in for honest, inspiring conversations that showcase the human side of business and highlight what makes our county thrive. Welcome to today's episode of Mind Your Biz. I am Heather Bell. I'm President and CEO of the Orange County Chamber of Commerce, and I am joined today by our Sapphire corporate partner, Central Hudson. We have Jerry Nappi, our Director of Public Affairs, and Linda Selcanin. I was close.
I've heard worse, I'll take it.
And Linda is the Regional Affairs Liaison. So thank you so much for joining us today. If it wasn't for the contribution of Central Hudson, we would not be able to deliver our member success stories every month. So thank you so much for that.
Glad to be here. Thanks.
So tell us the history of Central Hudson.
So Central Hudson is actually celebrating its 125th anniversary this year, coincidentally. And it really got its start in Newburgh.
Really?
Yeah, so Thomas Edison, everyone knows, invented electricity. One of his first generating plants was in the city of Newburgh. And that was the first real illuminating company from which Central Hudson eventually grew.
You've held this from me for how long?
Yeah, it's a big secret.
Wow,
Yeah.
had no idea. Okay.
Absolutely. So we're really, in Orange County is our home.
Mm-hmm.
Our permanent headquarters now is in Poughkeepsie, but really we serve about 400,000 customers from just south of Albany all the way down to Orange and Putnam County on each side of the river.
Okay. And how many employees?
So we have about 1,300 employees. More than half of which are represented by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. The rest are not management employees. And we have employees who do, our most visible employees obviously are our customer service representatives and our line workers, men and women who are out there making sure the power gets restored when storms come through. Mm-hmm. But we have engineers, we have finance professionals, we have communications professionals to help explain things to customers. And it's really a great organization where people who grew up in this area can have an opportunity at a great job and they can stay in this area and have a good career.
I agree. So I grew up in Dutchess and a lot of friends and family worked for Central Hudson.
Yep.
So and that 1,300 number, I'm sure most of them are customers.
Almost all, yeah. Our employees live in the communities we serve. And they're your little league coaches, they're your religious ed teachers, and so there's a real personal connection to the communities that we serve between our employees.
Yeah. Central Hudson is so community driven, and I love the culture that you've created to support your employees being a part of the culture. Let's talk a little bit about your community involvement now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my job as a regional affairs liaison at Central Hudson is to build and maintain those relationships with the local organizations, our community members, local elected officials, and really make the most impact where it matters, right? Mm-hmm. So whether it's, we just recently got to mulch a low-income daycare, their playground center. It's, giving donations and encouraging young children in STEM, and really just, giving back to where we know that people need it the most, right? These grassroots, and they're trying to build up from something small and become something bigger. Mm-hmm. And having this position, I get to have those boots on the ground and really make those connections.
That's a fun position.
It really is.
Yeah.
And we're lucky, like Jerry mentioned, it's 125th anniversary. I call it our birthday. Mm-hmm. And, we have a new CEO, Steph Raymond, who really is encompassing that corporate culture to give back and really be proud of the communities we serve and where we live. So where else would you be more driven to want to give back than in your backyard?
Yes, and when I was with Heineken USA, that was our slogan, was that we were giving back where we worked and lived.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about sustainability. And let's talk about maybe like, so you're gas and electric, right? So sustainability is something that has been a really hot topic for, I want to say at least the last decade, right? If not before, but in the last decade. So now we're talking about transitioning from gas to electric. And there's like some crazy deadline that's looming in New York State that everything's got to be transitioned from gas to electric. Where are we with that? How do I explain that to my parents? Right,
so you're referring probably to, there's a law that was passed in, I want to say 2019, it's the CLCPA, Climate Protection Act.
Yes, that one, Jerry.
And so there's goals to decarbonize, right, to reduce the amount of emissions that are emitted from power generation, from transportation, from all sectors of the economy, try and get those emissions as low as possible. And obviously the utility industry is a big partner in that with the state. So we're supporting the state's objectives by doing things like encouraging and incentivizing people to transition off of fossil fuel home heating oil, for example, or fossil fuel natural gas to electric heat, encouraging people to transition from gasoline cars to EVs. And the state sets up programs that help with that transition so customers can do that affordably. The transition, like anything where there's a major transition in place, there's peaks and valleys. It's slowed down a little bit, probably because of the cost. There's a number of factors, right? There was inflation, there were supply chain crunches, things cost more than they initially had planned to do some of that. So the timeline's been readjusted, but I think long term, the goal really is to transition our economy to one which is less carbon intensive, and we're here to help achieve that. Because we live here too, we care about the environment, we care about the planet, and that's part of our job.
What other clean energy initiatives can you tell us about?
Well, wind and solar are obviously, two of the most important, ways to generate electricity without emitting carbon. When it comes to solar, you'll see solar on people's homes, you'll see it on the rooftops of businesses, and then sometimes if you're driving through farmland, you'll see a solar installation, right?
Oh yeah, so, I see it on my motorcycle all the time.
Right?
Like, oh, beautiful valley. No.
So every time one of those is set up, we have to be there with our engineers to make sure it's done safely, that it's connected to the grid safely, that it's not going to damage the grid or their own equipment. That's very intensive. It takes experts, engineers to do that work, we are there to help do that. We actually, as a utility, we've interconnected more solar than any other utility in New York State. We're proud of that work. Wind is another important component, off of Long Island especially. There's wind that doesn't generate carbon emissions while it's in service. With solar and wind though, they're there when the sun is out and they're there when the wind is blowing, but not necessarily when it's not. So the state is looking at nuclear. So two plants were shut down in Indian Point a few years ago, and now the governor said they call it base load power. So we need power that's there 24/7, 365, and does not emit carbon. Nuclear can do that.
Okay.
And that's why she wants to build a new nuclear plant in New York State.
Okay. We're going to have a conversation about that offline.
Okay.
Because I need to understand a little bit more about why did we shut this one down and now we're going to build new ones. But we can have that conversation offline. Employee culture. That's important. That's important to Central Hudson. And that's not something that the general audience really knows about. What does Central Hudson do for their employees to ensure that they're given a good working environment? Tell us about that.
I would say, I'm proud to work at Central Hudson. It really is just the education that's offered to you, the challenges every day to be the best version of yourself, and just the drive to really be a community in itself And one of the things that I love is that part of our job is an employee gift matching program, and we just encourage our employees to give back to the communities we serve in these nonprofits. And it's a really important value to everybody at Central Hudson to really that camaraderie and make sure that we're having a helping hand to those who need it. We have the Central Hudson Good Neighbor Fund, the Central Hudson Veterans Program. So it's a lot that goes into it, and safety is probably the biggest part of our company culture too, is just making sure that we're looking out for one another. And that involves the trainings and the meetings and the recognition also for, catching something that really could have been harmful. So I think that there's a lot of moving parts that go into being an employee at Central Hudson, a lot that people don't see.
Yeah.
But, we're very proud, and anybody that you talk to, they're very, very proud. You mentioned earlier that, a lot of people that went to work for Central Hudson. There's not a person I don't meet that doesn't tell me that either their grandparent or their uncle or aunt or somebody worked at some part of Central Hudson. So it really is something special.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk in those terms and talk about all of the positive things today, because let's face it, you're in an industry that doesn't usually get a positive story told, right? So what else can you tell us that maybe the general public, our listening audience, doesn't know about Central Hudson? We listen, you guys get the it's the lights are out, call Central Hudson, so everything. When was the last time you got a nice phone call to customer service?
Yeah, customers, they appreciate when our people take the time to explain what's going on, why the lights are out, why they don't understand their bill. And
you guys have taken that one step further now, right? You've added more customer service agents to be able to be frontline employees.
Yeah. I'd say, Linda said, she alluded to our new CEO, Steph Raymond. A lot of changes have been put in place. We have more customer-facing personnel. We have more community engagement. So we're trying to be the face of the company with our customers and not just a number that you call, and be there to be responsive to their needs. And utilities, right? You kind of almost don't want to think about them until you have to, like when the lights go out. But that's when really our people shine. Our men and women who go out on the hottest days, on the coldest nights in January and February.
Storms.
They're out there, because, as I said, they want to get their customers connected, but also their friends and neighbors and family. So it's a very personal thing that our people do, and they take great pride in it. I think that, speaks to the culture of the company.
Okay. I want to talk about Jerry and Linda now.
All right.
Jerry, tell us how you got to where you are.
So my background initially was in government and politics. I really loved working for elected officials and serving the community and helping people get the answers they needed from government. I learned about the energy industry when I was in government. I went to work for a company that did a lot of power generation, so they made the electricity, and then I transitioned to this company. So we don't make the electricity at Central Hudson.
Right,
we take it and we distribute it out to the customers. So it really is about service also. We're in an industry where customers have expectations, and our job is to try and meet them. So I really appreciate and value the customer interface part of it.
I can appreciate that as well. At the Chamber, we have pretty much the same value. Yep. And what about you, Linda? How did you get to where you are?
I am a Hudson Valley raised resident. I graduated from Marist in 2018, and in my senior year of college, I went for communications, and I actually was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer.
Oh.
And so when I went through 6 months of chemo, and I obviously am a survivor, but it was really important to me to stay close to home, just to really build that strong relationship with my family and my friends, and just make sure me and my doctor were cohesive. And so what better place to work than Central Hudson? So I started at Central Hudson in 2022, and I started in the call center actually, and I really got to understand what the customers needed. And that evolved into a consumer outreach position where I got to learn a lot about the payment assistance programs that Central Hudson offers, and about the grants that the state has and all that kind of stuff, and better educate the customers. And then working with Jerry, we kind of evolved into this regional affairs position because I can't reach every almost 400,000 customers that we have.
You beat cancer.
I know. But being on boots on the ground, that way I get to work with nonprofits that they probably see, hundreds, if not thousands of people in food pantries and in schools and stuff like that. So they always have a friend at Central Hudson out within me. So that's,
That's a great story. Something that you touched on that I just want to bring full circle is that your customer service representatives are empowered with that information. They can talk to you about grants. And I will say, as a proud Central Hudson customer, that happened with me. And I called into the customer service department. I didn't have to escalate my call anywhere and explain that I had bought this house 2 years ago and there was something with the meters. And they said, well, do you know when the meters were changed last? And I said, no, I've 2 years in, and now I've owned the house for 10 years now. And not only did they come out and change my meters for free, but they looked back at the 2 years prior to make sure that I wasn't overcharged. And I actually got, I think, 3 months of my electric gas for free because they reevaluated everything. So again, that was first line customer service representative. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, our CSRs, they go through a lot of training before they can even sit and answer the phones. They're actually part of the union, very high standards there. And I know a number of them, they take great pride in what they do. They really enjoy helping to resolve problems and clear up any confusion that customers have. So it's a great asset the company has in our CSRs.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very thankful that Central Hudson works with us directly and that we get to represent you in the community as well, be a little bit of an extended branch to that. We're going to go into a little fun part of the program. You ready?
I'm ready.
So this is Heather Bell with Mind Your Biz, and now we are going to mind Jerry and Linda's biz.
All right. I'm ready.
Rapid fire questions. All right, Jerry, the first one's for you. Mickey or Donald?
It's got to be Mickey. He's the original. Yep.
Linda, do we want, what superhero do you relate to?
Oh, none of them. No, probably I would say I just really love Batman. I don't really get a bat signal or anything, but I love that he really goes hard for Gotham City. So
Yeah.
I would say Batman.
I could see Batman.
Yeah.
And Batman, not Batgirl.
Yeah, no, Batman, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to.
No, we don't need any sidekicks.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, let's
We're
just
good.
go for it.
Yeah.
All right. Jerry, beach or mountains?
I say mountains. My wife is the beach, so I spend enough time there. So I'm going to go to the mountains.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Linda, pizza or burgers?
Ooh, pizza. Because even if you have like bad pizza, it's still good, but you can have a bad burger. So I'll go with pizza.
Okay. First car that you bought yourself?
That would be they don't make them anymore.
Did they have cars back then when you?
That's a
Yeah,
Chevy
there was
Cavalier.
there was no Chevy Cavalier.
Chevy Cavalier.
All right. Back then there wasn't any floor. You had to
okay,
run
yeah.
with your feet, right?
That's when you had to go like this with the windows, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I had windows that I had to do that with.
That's right, Linda.
Mine was a Ford Maverick. Okay, Linda, what was your first concert?
Taylor Swift at Madison Square Garden. It was her Speak Now. I'll never forget it. She cried because she sold out Madison Square Garden. I was 17 years old. It was my very first concert.
All right.
I was a Swiftie before it was a thing.
There was a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, you were right on the cutting
You
edge.
know who else is a Swiftie?
No.
Because my daughter is, I have to be.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a big one.
You learn something new every day.
Yep.
Hey, Central Hudson, full of surprises.
All right, last one. Bucket list item.
I'd say the pyramids, Giza. Got to get there.
So if I have the chamber trip to Egypt next year, you'll be on it?
Whatever I can do to make it, I will be there. Yeah.
Okay.
I would love to do like a European excursion. Hit like, maybe 10 or 12, like Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, Greece, through the whole.
I like that. Get it all done in one shot.
Yeah, get a little bit of culture from everything. Probably gain 50 pounds, but
it's all right. By the time you get back, you walk it off. Actually, you don't really gain weight when you go to Europe because their food is so clean and you walk everywhere. Yeah. All right. What is your message? If you're going to write a message in the sky, what would your message be?
Us personally, or?
Reminding your biz now, remember?
I mean, I'd say on behalf of the company, it's, we are a service-oriented company. Again, our employees live in the communities we serve. We have so many excellent employees who really care about the work they do. And, electricity and gas, it's life-sustaining products, right? Electricity when I was a kid wasn't as important as it is today, right? So many people heat their homes, they power their cars, they have their computers, they can work at home. It's so important, and the company really focuses on keeping the lights on and getting it restored when they do go out. So that's a long message to write in the sky, but I think its focus on the community is important.
Linda?
I would say this too shall pass. It's something that I've always really resonated with me, and it can be used for good or bad. When you're having a great day or a really good dinner, just enjoy it, because those little happy moments, they go by so fast. And if you're in a struggle right now, you'll get through on the other side as well. So that's something that's always resonated with me.
Love it. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for this episode of Mind Your Biz with Jerry and Linda from Central Hudson. And let's thank Jerry as well. He is one of our valued board members.
Thank you.